Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for being here tonight. Lots of people, lots of friends. So I think we've got a presentation that's quite long, so let's go with it.
Let's shoot through it.
All right. So about Marou chocolate. Well, we are the first bean-to-bar chocolate makers in Vietnam, and in fact, possibly in Asia. For people who are not familiar with what bean-to-bar chocolate is, it's making chocolate from the raw material, from cocoa beans. Most of the people who make chocolates, as opposed to making chocolate, actually use chocolate that's being processed by somebody else, usually some huge industrial conglomerate. So the whole bean-to-bar movement is about going back to the roots of what making chocolate is about, that is transforming a raw material, cocoa beans, into chocolate.
Exactly. So in a way, it's going back almost 100 years to a way that chocolate was made, except for the fact that there's a specificity in what we do, and there's let's make chocolate in the country of origin, which is the modern twist on chocolate making.
Yeah, so our chocolate is made in Vietnam using Vietnamese cocoa, Vietnamese sugar, so it's 100% made in Vietnam. Who is Marou?
Who?
This is Vincent.
This is Samuel.
And we started Marou chocolate about 2.5 years ago, a bit more than 2.5 years ago. And we've been operating for the past 2 years, selling chocolate. And of course, Marou is not just the two of us. We're just the founders, but we've got a whole bunch of people that have been part of the adventure from the beginning.
In fact, we've suckered about 15 people into working with us. We're thrilled to have built a great team here in Vietnam. I think that's one of the things that we wanted to do in the beginning of our project.
It's not the focus of the talks tonight, but we'd like to remind it, just in passing, we're all about cocoa from Vietnam. And to most people, the fact that there is even cocoa in Vietnam comes as a surprise, which is not surprising. Cocoa produced in Vietnam is about 0.1% of world cocoa production. So if tomorrow, because of some disease or pest or calamity, the whole of Vietnam's cocoa production was wiped out, the only people who would realize would probably be the two of us here.
Exactly, and to put things in perspective, about 3 years ago, Sam and I both found out that there was cocoa in Vietnam. That was the impetus for the start of Marou. So it's no surprise if half the room here, or more than half the room, has just found out this evening. So, and maybe you guys can start your own chocolate company.
Okay. Just going back to being bean-to-bar makers, what that means is we go through all the steps from raw material that we source directly at the farm. And here you've got a laundry list of what it takes to make chocolate. So if you follow each of these steps, the roasting, the winnowing, the conching, tempering, etc., you too can make chocolate.
And in fact, when we started in Sam's kitchen. So one of the things, we're trying to make our story a bit short tonight, so so we love to tell the full one. But anyway, you're not here for that. But we started in Sam's kitchen with very basic tools. Most of them that we made ourselves since we were in Vietnam, and there was no one here to teach us how to make chocolate. There was no store to buy chocolate making equipment from, so we had to be crafty, and which by default, made us bean-to-bar, although we were just trying to discover how to make chocolate. And then we realized that we were falling into this new movement in chocolate making.
Okay, but now let's move on to the heart of the subject, which is design. Design is delicious, isn't it? Right. So we had, after the very, very earliest stages, we had this conundrum, we had this problem, we had this thing. We were able pretty quickly to make chocolate, but then, we thought, well, the chocolate is good, that's great, but why would people buy our chocolate? How can you get people to, go and buy the chocolate? It's easy enough if you're pushing it on friends and they'll buy anything from us, like Albin, or, But, people who've never heard of us, people who've never met us, why would they even consider buying chocolate coming from Vietnam? And so the challenge had to be met somehow by design.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, we felt we had everything against us. We felt that we were, first of all, not from chocolate. Sam was in banking, I was in advertising. First and second of all, we're in a country that isn't known as a cocoa producer. Definitely not known for chocolate. No one's making chocolate here. And not really known for any brands or quality products. So we felt we had a lot against us. So we had this dream to create fantastic chocolate and get it out there. The only thing is how it would be perceived and received. So for us, we really had to rely on some serious assets. And one of them is design.
Yeah. So we knew we had a great product, we needed to get great design, and we needed to invent some great story about us. For the great design part, we had this fantastic breakthrough. We met the guys from Rice Creative, the design firm that we've been working with from the beginning, and they were at a stage where they were starting their own company when we were starting our own company, and there was immediate chemistry.
Yeah. I met Josh in a crazy karaoke evening, and at the time, Sam and I were like, well, we need to find designers. And a friend of mine recommended Josh, and I said, oh yeah, I met that guy. And having worked in advertising, I knew there were certain key things, and there's probably a lot of designers in here, and a lot of people that use designers. I mean, one thing is language. You have to be able to communicate. It's key. It's like a relationship. If you talk about something, it needs to be understood. So, we saw their portfolio, which was fantastic, but we also were on the same page as far as different tastes and styles and kind of what we really wanted to do, and they understood that. So for us, it was really important from the get-go.
Yeah, so the deal was sealed over a bottle of whiskey one afternoon. And the promise was that they would deliver to us award-winning packaging. And, well, the interesting thing about the whole, creating the brand and everything is we started from a complete blank page. So even the name in the beginning wasn't really clear.
It wasn't even our first choice.
No, Marou was not our first choice. But so the important thing is we took the time to get it right. And we spent a lot of time, and we spent these countless hours just going through inspiration, sometimes completely, like a photo taken of a detail of a temple on Dinh Tiên Hoang Street, or completely random stuff. They were evocative of colors, of designs, of patterns, and that's how, little by little, after many false starts, we stumbled upon what is now Marou's design or visual identity.
So in the long process, it's kind of a process of psychoanalysis as well. Over months, you start to really synthesize on what's really important, what you're trying to really communicate for your product and for your company. So with them, we went on a journey, and that journey took us in many different directions, creatively. Those creative directions actually it was an additive effect. It was never a subtractive one. We always added from one experience onto the next, which took us to where we are today. So that was really a really interesting journey for us, and helped define Marou. based on our values and what we wanted to do.
It's a pity you can't really see the pictures, because here we have some very early Marou designs. There is just basically lumps of chocolate with a sticker on it.
One is pure desperation.
Yes. And the other one was, you can't see it on the picture, but it was shaped as a wedge, and it was a model built out of wax.
So exactly, you have this need, this desire to do something original. How does it translate? How does that word become something? Well, we thought this idea of a wedge early on. Of course, that didn't stick with us very long. We thought, okay, maybe original means something else. So we moved on to another idea.
Then we started prototyping. So what you can barely see there is, again, some very early prototypes of what would morph into what is Marou chocolate packaging today.
And this whole prototyping stage is very interesting, because as you're going from one version to the next and getting closer and closer to something that's actually sticking. That's the thing with design is, you get excited when a designer shows you something, but it's like, how many days will that excitement continue? How many more days when you look at it, where you feel that connection with it, that it's actually communicating what you need to communicate. So, we would have these moments of, oh, great, and then we'd be like, no, finally, it's not working for us. And so we would add, and we would tweak, and we would change colors, and we would motives, and all these different messaging as well. The key thing is messaging. We firmly believe in less is more, and that's everything. It's the more visually you can communicate without covering the packaging with text, it's a winner.
Also, the thing we had is we had this thread that we were following very closely, and it was not directly visual, but it was about thinking of the whole consumption experience, the whole, eating chocolate. From the moment you open the bar, how many layers do you peel? How do you peel them? What do you find underneath? So all these things we had thought through, and there was always a guide, and that led us, for example, to having this slightly unusual bar mold we have, which is asymmetrical with a lot of like triangular patterns and things like that, which upsets some people.
What's fantastic about being in Vietnam, at least when we were working on this whole idea of the experience, was it was summer, it was extremely hot, and it's a good time, it's a time where you kind of start going a bit mad, right? So, so you come up with all these kind of crazy ideas and start really projecting things. So, we were really spending time on the whole experience, from the shelf. We were trying to imagine us being consumers, to how we would react to the packaging, all the way to opening the wrapper, to discovering the bar, to breaking it, and then what do we want to do with it? What's our first impulse? Is it to share? Is it to consume it all ourselves? All these things, it was interesting. We would have extended conversations about it. And it's all part of design, and it's all part of experience.
Also, one thing we had was we had to play to our strength. We were in Vietnam, and the one thing that we could afford to do that nobody else, for example, in Europe could, or in the US, could ever afford to do was to print things by hand. That's completely crazy. Our packagings are hand printed, they're silk screen printed. So, in a sense, it was a bit crazy, but we could do it. People in France or in the US couldn't possibly even think of doing it, so we had to go for it. To go the whole artisan, manual, hand-wrapped, hand-printed, hand everything.
And to show you the beginning, the lunacy, we were printing 6 layers in silkscreen. 6 layers for each wrapper. And then now we only do 1. So just to show you about the whole prototyping and the tweaking, you go from sheer lunacy to actually something that's doable.
My legs are getting tired. Shall we sit down? Okay. So now we'll test your patience once more, and we'll test the screen by trying to play a video. Very good. Marou Faiseur de Chocolat is the first bean-to-bar artisan chocolate maker in Vietnam. We started from scratch and we didn't know what the tools that we were going to need were.
Being in Vietnam, we can't just go down the street and buy a conch or a winnowing machine. So quickly Sam and I had to start building our own prototypes. We're still using them.
Unfortunately.
When we started out with Marou, it was such a difficult task because there was so much to go off of. You have handmade chocolate, you have Vietnam, you have the jungle, you have all of these wonderful things to pull inspiration from.
From the chocolate, we wanted to provide a complete experience. So we wanted everything to feel like we were taking people along a little journey. That journey encapsulates what we're about: quality, authenticity, and taste.
People had to see and feel the whole experience from Marou chocolate, from the packaging, from the outside, and that's where we needed really gifted designers that could convey all our message into the visual aspect of our chocolate bars.
Thank you.
Hello. Yeah, there's a bunch of elements in the movie. First of all, you are able to see the way the packaging was conceived and built, and it talks a lot more than us being on stage. The other thing is, we were talking about being surrounded by the right people. You know, this video was made by Nadej Nguyen, who did a fantastic job. Shot by Neil Massey, who did a fantastic job. And even the music of the video is just crazy good.
Crazy good.
So, what happened is, this video was shot at the beginning of 2012. It was our collaboration with Wallpaper magazine. That was one of our first major breakthroughs. Of course, Wallpaper magazine is such a big name. We were very, very lucky in having this break. At the same time, I think we also kind of exceeded their expectations. What they wanted from us was one of our chocolate bars with a wallpaper sticker on it. And with the Rise creative team, we went all out and did something that was a bit more crazy. This chocolate bar, by the way, is still in production, and it's sold exclusively at L'Usine in Vietnam. So if you want to buy it, you have to go to L'Usine.
And to the credit of the designers, it actually is still touring the world as part of a Wallpaper magazine, Biennale art show.
Yeah, it was this bar was in the front window of Harrods in London, and recently was in Miami for Art Basel. So it's got a life of its own.
For Art Week a couple years ago. But there's one thing. I mean, you know, we have professionals in the room, and there's one thing that happened to us. For us, it's a phenomenon. I mean, it was our phenomenon. It's something that was extraordinary because we never foresaw it. You know, as entrepreneurs, as people starting a business, creating a business plan with certain expectations and everything, there was something that the designers did that triggered a phenomenon. And what they did is they took the packaging, the bars, they created beautiful photos in studio, and they sent it to some of the premier bloggers in the design world. And it was extraordinary because it was wildfire. We all of a sudden were getting emails from all over the world from people who were really taken by the packaging. And not only these were designers, but we were also getting solicited by professionals in the gourmet food world. And you know, so we were actually able to acquire, to get our first distributor in Germany, who saw the packaging. I forget on which site, but it's we're not designers, but it's, you know, one of the top blogs or design websites. And so it was extraordinary. I mean, we actually, with Samuel, it was right at the time where we were like, oh man, we have to start exporting. We're really going to start like writing a lot of cold emails to get people interested in our chocolate so we can start exporting, because we need to. And right at that time, this happened. And you know, just to kind of summarize, we actually have written very, very little cold emails. We've done very little prospecting because of what happened. And to paraphrase the German distributor, he said, if the chocolate is good, if the wrapper is beautiful, I buy it, you know. So that was exactly what was happening. No offense to any German friends out there, but anyway, it was quite extraordinary.
Okay, and so the Rice team did deliver on winning packaging awards, and so we won a Bronze Pent Award in Paris in 2012, and we got a gold medal from the Academy of Chocolate for the wrapping of the wallpaper bar. And we're only wondering, you know, what's next. Free chocolate for everyone? Over my dead body. Okay, and so we wanted them to be on the stage tonight, but they're super busy, or they're stuck in the water, I'm not sure. But we just wanted to thank Rice Creative for the fantastic design job they've done for us.